Alright, click the links to join the channel here over at SubStar. Are people done with the big gay agenda? Yeah, pretty much. So, Mary Sue, my favorite, the Mary Sue Leishman, says, these complaints about the doctor's sexuality reek of istophobicism. And someone on Twitter pointed out that women don't use words to come to some universal truth. They use words to produce useful outcomes. Good words are those that get their desired outcome, irrespective of what they actually mean. So the audience is coming out as straight. This is the image that's causing the issue. The Mary Sue has got a lot to say about istophobicism. Yikes, my guy, touch grass. Oh, if you're an SAW, please, for love of God, turn off the video on sub. The watch time is just not worth your passive-aggressive comments. Get in shape, eat pussy, don't be one. So she writes this article and compares the gay doctor to the, I almost said normal doctor. As if there's no difference between, gay and straight relationships, and she can't understand why the audience tuned out, and the ratings are like the lowest in Doctor Who show history. Whatever. These shows and Star Wars and the Amazons Ring of Power stuff, or I think there's another, was Robert Jordan Wheel of Time. I think that's still out there. It just kind of disappeared, and there's a bunch of these. Amazon's got a bunch of loser shows lately. The thing is that people are starting to leave the Hollywood propaganda cattle machine, and they're going to social media live streams that are a little bit more politically incorrect and raw. The bigger issue is her use of the term gay phobia, istophobicism. I'm trying not to, if you say the actual word itself, it's kind of a hot word that triggers stuff for YouTube, because it's a cultural Bolshevik term that allows her to manipulate the cattle debt slaves, and she frames it as a negative. And they do this all the time, but they don't explain what the term means ever. It's just kind of floating out there as a warning. You go, how are you using this word? What does it mean to you? I go, I don't know, because if I offer a concrete definition, then somebody's going to offer a vigorous rebuttal to it. That's why they don't define anything. It's just feelings. So these globalists have done this with all these kind of istophobic hot words within the last 100 years, where they create them as shields to hide behind. It's like a sandy foundation that they build these castles upon. And all it takes is enough people to say they just don't care anymore, because they don't accept the word as anything more than a brainwashing technique, which it is. Remember the concept of the word is not the thing. Res ipsa loquitur means the thing speaks for itself, but the word does not speak for the thing. Most people are straight, and the gay storylines, the narrative, and more importantly, the underlying values, especially in current year, are not their values. And like I said yesterday with the other woke cancer, none of this occurs in a vacuum. Decades ago, we would let some gay stuff slide because it was still in the early stages of boiling the frog. Now I realize that they were normalizing it to brainwash the cattle by generations. So now with woke stuff, we have a hair trigger, and I think it's fair to have that. It's like, with Zach getting mentioning the what was that movies that people were like, he said that YouTubers were overreacting to or something like that. It's like, no, this stuff really is crap. It's like, you don't have to settle for crap just because it's not as crap as everything else. We don't have to tolerate any of this stuff. So the globalists have kind of pushed too far with gay, diversity, feminism, whatever's the soup of the day. We see it as a slippery slope that these people are trying to destroy the West, and they're very successfully doing that, and they're more than halfway there. So if we want to fight against it, we have to excise the weed by the roots and have a zero tolerance for BLT, diversity, woke in general. And, after all, it's just our preferences, as Eric Cartman said, going through the tunnel of tolerance. Many of us have moral, spiritual, religious, and biological reasons for rejecting the BLT agenda, even more so than the diversity agenda. Lando Calrissian was cool, but only because he was straight. And I know they tried to retcon him as they're retconning all these other kind of characters. Like, no, everyone's pan now. That just seems lighthearted and frivolous to me. So gay movies in the 90s were fine because they weren't sterilizing kids and having men in dresses roll around on the floor with kids in the libraries and whatnot. We realize now that we have to be way less tolerant and more puritanical about evil. Also, that it's okay to stop acquiescing, placating, conceding ground to people with adverse interests to us. It's okay to label people and ideas. Like, don't chase the moving goalposts. You don't even have to accept the initial goalposts. You can look at them and go, "Oh no, those are not our values. We're not gonna try to meet those goalposts. You should meet our goalposts." It's okay to label people and ideas as degenerate. We must not tolerate filth and corruption. And if they call us phobic, great. If they want to support this globalist propaganda, nothing is stopping them. But the left wing has this habit of they never put their money where their mouth is, because a lot of these shows bomb really, really horribly. Like I was going to say the Marvels, the latest Marvel movie, Madam Web. There's the latest DC or Marvel movies. They've had a lot of movies that have been bombing lately because for some wacky reason, or the oh God, what was it? The Acolyte, or the what was the Mel Gibson thing? Except didn't have Mel Gibson in it. I forget the name of it. The Fury Road sequel, or prequel, whatever the hell that thing was. Furiosa. That absolutely tanked because just people are done with this kind of stuff. Because all this woke stuff are not our values for various reasons that I could get into, but it doesn't matter our reasons because we don't have to justify ourselves to communists. They're evil, malum and se, evil in and of itself. And it's a wonderful feeling to just say that you don't watch all this gay BLT whatever shows. Nothing matters beyond that. And if you talk to these people and you go, and you realize, like, they cannot have a conversation without an ad hominem and a straw man, where they jump in and say, so what you're saying is, okay, but that just makes you a... That's not an argument. All you say is, yeah, well, these are not your values. You're the customer. You don't have to explain why you're not going to engage in this contract of paying money in one way or another for a show. And that's really what it boils down to. We're not gay. And we're seeing problematic globalist issues with the big gay agenda. Men having relationships with women are our values, not men kissing men. The various reasons are worth exploring, but they're not allowed on YouTube. Maybe on SubScribestar I can do a longer video, because the censorship on YouTube is absolutely nuts. And childish, weirdo, fat single women from the Mary Sue are offended that we don't support the BLT agenda. Who cares? We simply look at the woke crowd, the blue-haired, drug-addicted, obese, ugly, broken people, and say, we don't want whatever it is that they're pushing, because most of them are mentally ill. There's a meme about just ignoring whatever an obese person is saying because it has no value if they don't have the discipline to even be healthy, which makes sense the older I get. The concept of just judging a book by its cover is usually Occam's razor. It's a fast, decent approach to things. If someone is pushing these toxic left-wing globalist Moloch-worshipping values, nothing they say should be taken seriously. And see, with all this this narrative framing that I'm using with these judgmental words, speaking like an asshole. Yeah, that's how the left speaks. And sometimes, this passive-aggressive framing, you have to speak to them in the language that they understand, because much of their argument is an appeal to emotion. And so you can just respond to an appeal to emotion. I feel disenfranchised and marginalized by this show. It's oppressing me and my values, and you can just turn things around on them, because if they want to switch from appeal to emotion to arguing rhetoric on logic, you go, okay, well, are we going to have a logical argument and stop this childish bullshit about I'm not touching you, or are we going to just appeal to emotion? Because then it's I feel versus I feel. It's just two children having a discussion back and forth, which is fine, because that's the entirety of the Mary Sue, and that's about 95% of the left today. Anyway, just not into the whole gay stuff. It's a trip when you talk to people and you say that. You're like, diversity, ugh, gross, not into that. And they look at you, and if they're a left winger, they start sputtering and losing their mind. You go, it's just not my values. And then they insert these. They have to straw man and add home. Well, the show doesn't need you anyway. The show doesn't need your money. It's like, yeah, but how come the left wing doesn't support all these shows? I don't have an answer to it because, the core math of it is people are not supporting these shows. That means left and right people. So I'm coming out and saying, here's some reasons that they're not supporting the show: feminism, the woke messaging, diversity, the gay stuff, or even in this case, it's like gay and race mixing. Those are some of the reasons people are not on board. And the left wing won't say the reasons, but they also won't support the show. But they're more mad at someone like me for saying these reasons, but they still won't support the show. So it's like, isn't it better to be honest? Not to the left, because they have this carefully constructed fictional architecture built on the house of sand, and it's very, very unstable. As people are seeing in video games, people are talking about there might be a collapse of video games. I think you're going to see a collapse of Hollywood as well. And I mean, you're kind of living through the collapse of comics. Anyway, always troll the left. Be as passive aggressive and kind of whiny as you want with appeals to emotions. And I feel and I view myself, and as a marginalized and oppressed, disenfranchised and othered person myself, it's a trip to talk to these people. It's probably why I lose the Twitter accounts every 6 months. Get up to like 5,000 followers, and then got yeeted. And no, you can't have your account back. Apparently, humorously advocating hate crimes is not allowed on Twitter. I was only kidding, dude. Can we have a sense of humor about these things? I guess not. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys all on SubScribe Star.